So 11 months ago, I made a video that would become one of my more popular videos on my channel, which would be an Iceberg video. Monster Jam's cancel, cut, censored / banned Mod Jam Iceberg. And it's my most popular Iceberg video, one of two. Not too long afterwards, I did another Iceberg video talking about the Gravedigger Iceberg, essentially. However, most fans of my channel, or at least people who have watched my channel since that time, I've realized that I have not gone back and done another iceberg. Probably because I just couldn't really get a topic of an iceberg to figure out. And also because of lack of motivation or just, well, really any type of just physically feeling like I could actually do something like this. Until now. This has been an iceberg video I've been wanting to do for over a year now, and it is the Monster Jam Lost Media Iceberg. Lost Media Iceberg is one of the most interesting ones of all time. This is a custom iceberg I made, not on the Iceberg Charts website, screw that site. I actually had to use my editing software to actually make this. So it's a very unorthodox way and not a normal prototypical iceberg. But I have a total of 42 entries in this iceberg. Some of them will be more question lost media. Some of them are going to be stuff that's well known. Others are kind of going to be in between, and some are going to be very pretty unknown, and a couple could be even a bit darker. So anyways, this is Monster Fan 1010, and this is Monster Jam's Lost Media Iceberg. Canceled broadcasts. There have been many canceled broadcasts over the history of Monster Jam, specifically in the speed era, and honest to God, that could probably be a video on its own. We'll get to a couple of them a bit farther down in this iceberg. Atlanta 2010. So back in 2010, on January 9th, Monster Jam hosted on Speed their only ever live broadcast, and their third ever behind the TNN pay-per-views of World Finals 2 and 3. Maximum Destruction ended up winning both racing and freestyle. Now, why is this considered lost media? Well, it was for a long time. It's also on this list because it hasn't been found very recently. However, why it was lost, there's a high chance parts of it used to exist from time to time. However, there's a whole time section where it didn't exist at all until 2019, November 30th of 2019, where the final round in freestyle, the whole freestyle, was uploaded. However, it took another 3.5 years for the full race, qualifying, and racing bracket to be released by legendary YouTuber Square Zero, formerly known as Square One, as he's had the broadcast for a while now up to this point. You'll get more use to that name later on down here. Inferno Prototype. So I don't know how much considered lost media this would be, but I'm still gonna put it in here. Back in 2002, Monster Jam and Hot Wheels had planned to make an Inferno truck. However, because of 9/11, they decided to cancel it. However, because prototypes were made, the truck does exist. The actual truck that they initially had planned would eventually be released into Flashfire. However, they eventually did re-release the Inferno prototype, or the Inferno truck, in their flashback series in Monster Jam's last year as their partnership with Hot Wheels. However, because there were prototypes that were physically made, they become some of the rarest and most exclusive trucks of all time. Jacksonville 2006. Now, again, this could be a lot of BS that this was a planned broadcast that was canceled. The likely only reason why this would have been a broadcast, or likely was not broadcasted, was because St. Louis 2006 was on the same day. I believe February 21st or 28th, I don't know the exact date, but they were on the same day. I do hold hope that maybe there was a Euro airing, although that's probably not likely. World Final 16 Zombies. So what many say is the worst World Finals, in my opinion, the second or third worst World Finals of all time, concluded with probably one of the worst executed encores of all time. The reason why it was executed so poorly, we're going to get into that right now, as there were multiple zombies that would go around after the freestyle competition, that would go around as in new body types with what you could see. The problem was it was literally impossible to see because it's freaking all red. Thanks, Feld. But as you can see in kind of with all these renders, the red zombie was a more burnt zombie, which is a little bit disturbing when you think about it. But it was meant to be driven by Killer Blood in Mexico and also potentially at other locations. The yellow zombie, the ugliest one, did run with Travis Groff behind the wheel. The skeleton zombie did run very, very briefly by Barney Sauer. However, the body was never rebuilt after it crashed in the show that was running it. The most mysterious one, though, is the green biker zombie. No actual good photos of this truck exist. However, when you look at the render, it's probably the most goriest and disturbing looking one of the zombies of all time. I never really understood the zombie truck craze during the zombie craze era, but people are like that. However, it's nice to see them getting a lot of love from Spin Master. The reason why they were likely not continued were because the bodies probably took way too much time to paint and just get all the details and stuff done. Probably pretty much the same reason that El Diablo ended up getting shelved in real life. Diecast trucks. We already mentioned one with Inferno, but there have been many diecast monster trucks that are either were canceled or were not continued. And I think some of the more infamous ones will be down here on the list. However, not all of them will be talked about. CCE theme songs. Back in 2002, Monster Jam had basically the owners of Monster Jam at the time, Clear Channel Entertainment, had come up with ideas for custom theme songs. The known custom theme songs, I believe, are Team Mint, Gunslinger, and Power Forward. There was even one planned for Gravedigger 6 Feet Under. However, you cannot beat Bad to the Bone. There's ones that are rumored for Blue Thunder and High Roller. The main reason why though it's on here is because it was a lost media search for Team Mint's theme song back in around 2015 to 2018, as it's eventually found to be Corruption and Destruction. You may recognize part of that song is used now as my tonight's schedule in my unaired shows because the song's so great I have to use it. But no actual great quality of the Corruption and Destruction exists. Although I think, if I am remembering right, it was at one point on the First Com website. However, it was taken down, I think, at some point. The album was. One day, maybe it'll reappear, so we can get an actual good quality of it. There are other theme songs as well, and there could have been more tricks as well done with theme songs. So this could, again, be a growing topic that will be here forever. Lucas Oil Crusader's alternate theme song. So pretty much Lucas Oil Crusader has kind of an alternate theme song that would be played only in events, that would be run at like a slightly different variation. There's a bit of an effort to try and find the alternate theme, although it's not as likely. This is just kind of more of a thrown in here type of lost media. Air Force Afterburners clips from Urban Assault. So in Monster Jam Urban Assault, in the showroom, in one of the showrooms, you will see Air Force Afterburner looks like it'll appear in the showroom. However, when you watch the video, he's nowhere to be seen. I initially thought this was just something wrong with my game, as I have Urban Assault. However, later on I realized that this was an issue, and I thought it was just a broken glitch or something in the game. But no, it was cut and removed. The reasons are unknown, although the most likely reason, accepted reason, is because it featured the Orlando 2007 fire incident. Damon Bradshaw luckily got away. How would we know that the 2007 Orlando fire incident was a thing? In the menu screen, you can still see it. Something tells me that this was likely cut last minute before the game release. If there was a beta version of the game that ends up getting released or ever found, you might be able to actually find it, although it is debatable. This will not be the first time that Urban Assault or Monster Jam games will be mentioned as Iceberg. Not even close. Indy 2008. Indianapolis 2008 was the last show at the RCA Dome. There's a lot of rumors and likely speculation the show was meant to be aired on Speed. However, because I guess around the USHRA was removed because Monster Jam ended up being owned by Phil Motorsports, they removed the USHRA name. It was likely wasn't shown around the USHRA. However, I feel like it probably had a chance to be aired, although it was cut for unknown reasons. It did get a European airing, however, and that may be a little more discussed below. The broadcast is available both on Dailymotion and on my YouTube channel. Exterminator diecast. One of the most rare diecasts of all time is the Exterminator diecast. And I mentioned this in my top 10 rarest diecast videos, but it was just a Canadian exclusive, so automatically became a very rare truck. However, over the course of time, the price ended up getting very ugly. In 2021, I believe, Eric said the price was $500. In 2023, the price jumped doubled. It was $1,000 for this freaking truck, and it's not sold yet. Also loose. So if this continues, it's probably going to be, the price value is going to get hiked up worse and worse every 2 to 3 years. Unless Spin Master makes a truck of these, which is highly unlikely. World Finals 1 lost freestyles. So this is one of the most famous lost media forms of all time, which is why it's this high in the iceberg. But back in World Finals 1, like World Finals 2 and 3, it was a pay-per-view. However, it was the day after event. It was a Monday. And because of that, any run that likely, I guess, didn't score 20 or 25 was not included in the freestyles. So ultimately, there were 3 cut freestyle runs. Prowler, which as you see here, likely got stuck, as there is actual video of likely all of Prowler's freestyle run, as it did in Skyway and got stuck on the wall. You can even see it was likely the first truck that went out, as you can see later on in the freestyle with Sudden Impact's freestyle. Our next truck is Reptoid, if you even want to call it the freestyle, as Reptoid ended up its whole freestyle pretty much got shown what there was of it, as it immediately came down the entrance down Thunder Alley. However, the motor immediately blew, and he didn't even hit an obstacle. He was awarded 4 points for its trouble, but and whatnot. Prowler also, I believe, got scored a 16 or 19 or something like that. And unlike Reptoid and Prowler, WCW Nitro Machines freestyle has no footage. Only 2 photos of it actually exist, and they were very recently archived. However, I believe though that just like World Finals 2 and 3, where there are ISO cameras, there's an ISO camera that you'll see in many Crash Madnesses of the DVDs, and you see in almost every single incident that they showed it it showed all the incidents. I suspect, and it also had the Prowler incident as well. I think likely it exists on the ISO. However, the ISO was never released on World Finals 1, which is strange. But I do know it exists. Thing is, does anybody have the footage? Likely answer is though a no, unfortunately. Lost 2003 season. This is another very infamous lost media piece, as in 2003, Monster Jam was kind of in a transition era where they started out initially with TNN. However, they locked TNN, turned into Spike, and likely got kicked Monster Jam off the air, so they struggled to try and find a new partner, which was Speed for the World Finals. That came at a cost though. The entire season was left untelevised. It's very interesting because the normal Monster Jam fan will not know that the 2003 season was not aired. However, the only events that were aired were the World Finals for West Lebanon, which is ironic because this is the only time West Lebanon actually got any speed airing or any airing of any type. Montreal and Minneapolis, which was both were a part of the 2004 season. Ultimately, the 2003 season sought after, however, the likelihood of it being released is not very likely. I did my best to try and do a little recreation of the season kind of thing that just recently came out. World Finals 10 censored wrecks. So there in World Finals 10, because of the natural high incident, 3 trucks end up having their crashes censored from all American broadcasts. And they were Captain's Curse crash, where it violently rolled into the stands. Luckily it missed people, where Alex Blackwell decided he tried and roll the truck instead of run head on the wall. While it may have saved him from potential serious injury, it made it a lot more scary of an impact. Whereas if he rolled it, he could potentially try and pirouette. The problem is it didn't pirouette. It caught the rear one and drove right in the corner. Reason why was because Blackwell lost his brakes. In the freestyle, Nitro Circus and Gravedigger both had crashes. Nitro Circus flipped on its lid onto the wall. Again, it was censored as well. And Gravedigger also had a similar wreck where it tried to triple and ended up rolling over. However, it landed tires up instead of upside down. Dennis was able to get off and continue going. There, I will explain more, but all 3 incidents were shown in Europe. This continuing to go down to something a lot more important later on. Canceled WWE trucks. So back in 2007, WWE and Hot Wheels had planned to make special diecast trucks kind of to have release sets. And there were 3 play sets released. They were Batista versus John Cena, The Rock versus Stone Cold, Undertaker, which I believe was only released in Europe, and Rey Mysterio, and Triple H, which was only released in America, versus Rey Mysterio. However, there were more trucks that were planned to release, including the Hardy Bros, Roddy Piper, which did get a 1/24 weeks release, Hulk Hogan, and many others. Missing trucks in Urban Assault. There are a total of 4 known trucks that were in the previous Monster Jam game, Monster Jam 2007, that were not in Urban Assault or likely cut. And these were, unofficially, Iron Outlaw, the original Iron Outlaw, the Black Torque Iron Outlaw, which I actually like better than the original Iron Outlaw, was in the game. Gravedigger 25th Anniversary, which was likely replaced by the Gravedigger, the Legend. Predator, and Brutus. Brutus was likely replaced by Spike for some reason, which I don't know why, and Predator was just likely replaced by another truck, or just straight up just was not in the game. But ultimately, there are ways you can mod the trucks, I believe, into the game, I think, files, or you can, there are other mods that you can get in the game as well, so you might be able to actually get the files from the 2007 games into the 2000 in Urban Assault. I believe there's a way you might be able to do this. Medusa Farewell Tour. So this is basically kind of in referencing not only something that was canceled, more of a canceled truck and diecast. What this mainly talks for, though, is the Pink Medusa Farewell Tour, which, while they weren't mass produced, they were produced, but not massively, by Hot Wheels, as more rare type of truck. However, once they pretty much stopped all production on them, though, once Medusa was released from her contract by Feld, and they have become some of the rarest Monster Jam diecasts of all time, and you cannot find them very often online, if at all. So it's pretty bad. World Finals 5 cut freestyles. World Finals 5 during that time had a 30-second rule. Not the current 30-second rule now, but the old original 30-second rule, where if you rolled over within your first 30 seconds, you would be flipped back over. You could have the option to continue at the loss of 1 point by each judge. However, 3 trucks would use it to advantage, although 4 rolled over within 30 seconds. The reason why only 3 was because Blue Thunder ended up breaking a 4-length bar in the middle of flipping over. While Power Forward's 5 seconds of its freestyle that was shown ended up getting shown. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and Team Suzuki did not have their freestyle shown. Likely because, I guess, time constraints with editing the Speed episode, I guess, but for some reason they were not shown on the DVD as well, which I don't understand why. The camera wasn't cut. They were still recording all angles, as it's obvious. And there were shots of them, even from TMNT. As its freestyle did have some angles where it tried to go up the bus, but it failed, so it then went to the side, but then rolled over, as it likely lost blew a tire. Team Suzuki ended up going over the cars one more time, however, it lost steering. So you weren't really missing much with that. Broker Pontiac 2006. So in the last event of Pontiac Silverdome, the Broker was a part of the field. However, its freestyle was not shown, likely because just how bad he likely did. He scored a 12 out of 30, which were 3 4s. However, part of the freestyle is in Crash Madness 5, and you're seeing that on your screen right now. And they didn't even mention him, though, in the final results tab. As for other suspicions, a lot of mistakes and conspiracies are made about the Stone Crusher incident where Gary Wiggins broke his back after he did a Skywoo so hard. This is probably the only time where we'd actually need the speed broadcast to actually confirm if it was cut from the speed broadcast, because it was in the remastered old memberships, but Eric says it wasn't in the speed episode, even though it probably was, and it's probably all BS, but that's probably the only one where we may actually need a speed airing to know. However, Broker's Freestyle is rumored and speculated, as legend goes, that it was actually aired in Europe, thanks to Taz anyway. True Life of Medusa. The True Life of Medusa, fairly similar to True Life of Tom Metz, was basically something based around the entire career and life of Medusa, as it pretty much showed everything that led to monster trucks and even monster trucks then. However, unlike the True Life of Tom Metz, no one has bothered to try and upload it, other than a special features that shows as well. However, it is known to exist, and I think a couple people do have it as well. Hopefully one day it will be uploaded. 2013 Path of Destruction. 2013 Path of Destruction is a very interesting one, as this was another case kind of a broadcast that likely never aired, partly because Speed was pretty much going off the air at the time, and also it was basically turning into FS1, so it would make sense to have Speed microphones and logos and stuff at an event that was not going to be on Speed, so that's likely why it wasn't aired, which is unfortunate, because the Baltimore 2013 is considered as one of the best shows, one of the best unaired shows of all time, and same thing with East Rutherford. Both likely would have been aired had Speed not gone down in 2013. And Escalade in Monster Jam 2007 game. So back in 2007, in the logos tab of the Monster Jam game, you can see a Cadillac logo, which is essentially Escalade's logo, which means that Escalade could have very well been in the game, at least had been planned to be in the game. However, maybe because of copyright or just licensing with Cadillac falling through, it was removed from the game. And it was likely removed early, as no file can be found for the Escalade. But it is cool to think, though, that they did have a plan to actually have this truck, at least up for an Escalade. World Finals 10 Encore. One of the more interesting Lost Media Encores is the World Finals 10, as pretty much the main selling point was to have Tom Metz's main backflip would be the first one to officially complete a backflip. Tom successfully completed a backflip in a private practice run earlier in the year. So ultimately, at the end of the World Finals freestyle, the car stack was removed where Tom would attempt the backflip. He would get one rotation, but would over-rotate and would land on the tailgate and over. Him not landing the backflip is a potential reason why the encore was not aired. As the other part of the encore that most people probably don't know about, the truck parade, was never really shown. The only footage of the truck parade is from fan footage on YouTube, and also in Crash Madness 6, there's a section of the video before his 2009 Tampa rollover that Randy Moore is talking about it, and you can actually see some of the trucks in the background with Medusa as well. Jacksonville 2012. Now you may be wondering yourself, why is Jacksonville 2012 a show that got aired on the list? Well, partly because all the racing wasn't shown. There are a few times where racing is not all the way shown, where they combine it, which is similar to like San Antonio 2011 and Toronto 2012. But what is actually interesting about Jacksonville 2012 is that there were freestyles cut, mainly Predator and Raminators. Predator's freestyle was cut because, well, after 2 hits, it rolled over immediately. You can view the wreck, though, on YouTube and also in the Crash Madness 8. Raminator had part of its run going. However, they cut away from it later on in the run. Why? It's not really known why it was. Maybe time constraints were an issue, but then again, why would they actually have tried to combine the episode, though? That still didn't ever really made a whole lot of sense. Gravedigger Wild Tracks. Sometime in the 1990s or some period where the tank trucks are starting to become popular, Dennis had planned for a Gravedigger tank truck potentially to be in play, although this was also used as a promotional asset as well. However, I think a tank truck would have been very cool. Ultimately, though, it never came through. Dennis did mention, though, on the 25th anniversary truck about it. Monster Jam as big as it gets. Monster Jam as big as it gets is an interesting case for really just how the game overall is. It's the only known video game lost media that is out there. It was initially released in 2014 as part of a beta. There are 5 different stages. The first stage was the Anaheim stage, where Anaheim was the main stadium, as well as other things that kind of circled around it. The next one was, I guess because Reliance Stadium wasn't ready, they put Las Vegas World Finals in there as well. Then the next beta was Atlanta. Then there was the World Finals again, the actual release of the World Finals map. And then Everbank Field, just to like get in the beta. The full game was released sometime in 2015 rather, and it was very poorly received. And it was eventually taken off the App Store later around in 2016 or 17. I still have the game to this day, and you're seeing kind of stuff that's on right now, as well as the trucks. As initially, for the first little bit, there were 16 trucks. However, 8 more were added after the Atlanta update to the game. And there was also other maps as well, and really a career where you have to eventually unlock them. However, something that a lot of people may not know is Max D actually required gears from the start. Gravedigger did not initially, I have no idea if Gravedigger did require gears or not, because I completed the full game before apparently it came into play. But ultimately, not many people are known to actually have the game still, but maybe one day you'll see it appear on the archive where you might be able to play the game through like an emulator or something. I'm hoping that's the case, because I still think people need to experience what Botcham's and Team 6 game's first attempt at a mobile game was. Team 6 game seems was going to make other games. The problem though were the company really just did not have much money to play around. World Finals 9 Encore. One of the more famous World Finals 9 Encores, or rather the most famous Encore, was World Finals 9, as it was featured 2 new trucks, Backwards Bob and Spitfire. Yes, you heard that right, Spitfire. That was a planned truck, not Dragon's Breath, but under Spitfire. And it was planned to be driven in 2009 by Paul Cohen, similar to what Backwards Bob was for Redacted. Yes, I have to call him Redacted. However, some unknown third party would sue Feld over licensing with Spitfire. So ultimately they tried to copyright the name Spitfire Monster Truck, as you saw Monster Road Assault, but eventually they just changed the name altogether to Dragon's Breath, and it re-debuted in 2011. Ultimately, the lawsuit is likely why the Encore was cut from all areas of lost media, or media that is, making it lost media. However, dedicated fans ended up putting together a full encore of it so you can actually see what ended up happening. The thing is though, the reason why it's this on the Iceberg is very, very recently, in the Inside Monster Jam episode, they actually released footage of Backwards Bob's jump over the mineral ramp that they featured in it. So this proves that Feld still has this. It is obvious that the thing was recorded, but the fact that Feld still has this is amazing. The fact that they, at one point, if they did have the opportunity to re-air it. However, because of the potential lawsuit, or the lawsuit potentially coming back, they likely will not. Which I guess is one of the only times anyone can actually excuse it. Maxi versus Gravedigger animated short. So back in June of 2021, I believe, a special animated short was released where you saw the Max D logo, Maximus fight Grim, the Grim Reaper, Gravedigger's main looking mascot, in an animated short. It's unknown what would have been done with this, although I think it could have been cool that we could have had some type of animational series that Masham could have done as well. Then again, it could have been a disaster as well. Lost European airings. Oh boy, here we go. Probably the most famous form of lost media in Monster Jam history is the European airings. This is from recent as well. Ultimately, from the mid to late 2000s, Monster Jam aired many shows that would be for the European area. They would be 30 minutes instead of the usual 60 minutes that we would see here for Monster Jam here in the US. However, what the Europeans got instead were basically other shows that were not aired in the US. Some of them may have gotten around the USA Today if they were 2006 or 2007, but not if they were 2008, 2009. Here's the hard-hitting truth though. There are many shows, as well as as you see on your screen, all the shows that were not aired on the US at all. And there have been others that are rumored as well, as you see on the screen as well. And the search really started to become infamous in April of 2022. And it continued on as people who were more formally involved in it, like Vale, formerly known as Pita 88, and Square Zero, formerly known as Square One, reappeared as well. This was all headed by European King Taz91, who really was the one who got the whole ball rolling on this whole ordeal. And ultimately, on July 3rd, Leah Mann ended up having all the European airing episodes from 2007 to 2009, and would ultimately be converting them. How during this time, Jackson Morris, yes, Monster Talk, actually revealed that Costa Rica also got aired, along with also having some personal recordings himself. And also Square Zero, Square One also revealed other events as well on the RTL 7, and also Special from 2010 on GMTV. And in early August of 2022, all the 2007 to 2009 European airing episodes, with the exception of Costa Rica, were uploaded. And ultimately, another YouTuber ended up coming to Taz's attention as well, and would end up getting GMTV airings from 2006 and 2007, and would actually get San Diego 2006 as well. And while the certain 2006 airings are still missing, the search by this point should end here, at least of these broadcasts. Spoiler alert, it definitely doesn't later down this iceberg. However, what about them other GMTV episodes, since that was in episode 4? Well, there were events that were not aired in any capacity that featured El Toro Loco and Black Stallion. A conclusion I put together is that I know for sure Gravedigger and Max D probably got their own episodes, as well as another fell truck, whether it was Blue Thunder or Monster Mutt. However, the interesting thing though is what independents got it. I suspect Team Scream Bounty Hunter, but were they 2 and 3, or was there another independent team shown? If there was another independent team shown, then what would it be? However, if there weren't any others, and there's two Extreme Racing and Team Scream, Gravedigger got a whole episode to itself. What type of events though would be there? And what type of events are we missing? Hopefully one day Monster Jam, or rather someone, will come forward and have the other episodes. I apologize, it's already taken a lot, but I can tell you right now, to avoid making this an hour-long video, I'm cutting this down a lot more. If you want to know a lot more of the full story, I've linked Taz91's video down in the description. It's worth a watch telling the entire story. I could probably give a whole story since I was actually here to experience it, and I may very well do at some point, but that will not be this video. Missing trucks from Maximum Destruction. So in 2002, Monster Jam Maximum Destruction was pretty much the first major console Monster Jam video game that was made. And overall, it was kind of meh. I guess it was good for its time, kind of good for its era. It was more of like a Twisted Metal version of monster trucking. However, there are many trucks that are very uncommon to find. I'm not going to list them all here, but mainly this is more talking about the 2 trucks that were not in the game. Wrenchhead.com and WCW Nitro. The main reason why they were both gone is because their contracts had expired. It also explains why the wrestler trucks of Sting and Goldberg also did not have the wrestlers actually on the tops of the trucks as well. Sting and Goldberg. Monster Jam World Finals 3 Encore. One of the rarest encores of all time, and one of just 2 encores that does not actually exist is World Finals 3. After the World Finals 3, there was an encore. However, unlike World Finals 2, where they actually stayed for the whole thing, World Finals 2 and 3 were pay-per-views. World Finals 3 Encore was not. However, as you can tell, there were multiple ISO cameras that were recording the full thing. However, again, the event is not been resurfaced, and only a few photos and only about 5 seconds worth of footage actually exists, and ultimately making it one of just 2 lost Monster Jam encores. And ultimately, it should exist though, and at least in ISO cameras. Vancouver 2001. So this is more of an interesting lost media type. But ultimately, very recently, LA ended up bringing us footage of Vancouver 2001. The thing is, though, this is more in reference to an episode that it featured on the series. And there's a lot more growing topic about this whole ordeal. I'm not going to get too much into it, but eventually follows pretty much Lindsay Wink's kind of like driving career. And there's a whole section about monster trucks. So it could like more of talk about kind of other things through Lindsay Wink's driving. But there could be also other shows as well. This is, again, kind of a very mysterious lost medium. More one that's just kind of interesting. World Finals 13, Ryan Anderson. So in Monster Jam World Finals 13, there were the 30th anniversary Gravedigger Encore. God. Where it was one of the better encores. However, something that not many people actually know about is that Ryan Anderson, who was in one of the other Gravediggers, ended up getting injured after he landed right on the back of the truck perfectly. However, as soon as Ryan's was about to land, they cut away from the other angle. However, it's obvious so that you can see it, and again, the hit has been seen and witnessed. However, fell cut away from it like last second, and it's likely that they will not show that angle likely again. I just kind of threw this in here because this is something that most people, again, don't really think about much. Monsters 4x4. Multiple things. So ultimately, Monsters 4x4 Masters of Metal, as I will say, had many things that were missing from it, from trucks to even maps. And basically, there were multiple trucks that ended up being cut from the game. Many of the Marvel trucks, mainly because of their contract, with Marvel's contract with Monster being up after 2003, they were likely cut from the game. Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, and Wolverine, they were all gone from the game. However, like many others, you can mod them into the game. And there's other trucks as well listed, but the most famous ones, though, are the two extreme racing trucks, Bounty Hunter, Scarlet Bandit. They were initially in the game. They were actually in a beta version of the game, but were cut last minute. As well as a map you see on the screen with Scarlet Bandit. Not much is known about this map, although it looks like it was likely an obstacle course of some sort, which is a shame that this was cut, considering that this is probably the best out of all the maps so far. Shame it got cut out of the game. The main reason why the two extreme trucks could have been cut from the game could have been down to the Milestone Motorsports deal, but it's not really known actually. However, one thing I will let you know is that if you do turn around the casing of Masters of Metal on the back and look, you will see a photo of multiple trucks and Bounty Hunter as well. Just go leave that out there. Captain's Curse World Finals 13 qualifying crash. So in World Finals 13, a very mysterious photo reappeared recently. It was on MatchM's channel for a while, but it's Captain's Curse crash in qualifying. This is one of the few lost media cases where no footage is known and only this one photo exists, as it's upside down in air. Ultimately, not much is known about how Alex got in this position or really how this came to be, and it's likely not going to be answered. And this is one of more MatchM's unsolved mysteries. Houston 1998 IMJ. So if you guys don't know what IMJ is, it's a short for Inside MatchM. As back in 1998, Inside Monster Jam was aired on ESPN2. And they held shows from 97 to 98, all kinds of serious and highlights and stuff like that. However, all but one of the episodes have been recovered. That is Houston 1998. Not much is known about this, but again, it's likely lost unless someone does have a recording of it, which hopefully someone does, because there's no way MatchM will air any of this, because again, MatchM membership doesn't start until 2000. But ultimately, still an interesting case that there is an IMJ episode and a broadcast thing that's missing, along with Jerry Bernardo's craziness. World Finals 8 Halftime Encore. One of the most mysterious, probably the most lost encore in Monster Jam's history is World Finals 8 Halftime Encore, where It's reported that 2 gravediggers, but also could have been 3 gravediggers, so Dennis may have been out there as well when it was happening, ended up doing donuts. It's suspected that there was a donut competition, and whoever did the best donuts would have won. Shame Gary Porter wasn't there. He probably would have been able to win it by a landslide. But it's said that Dennis did the best donuts and won. Right before the end of it, however, George Belhan came out, since he was the first truck after all this encore to freestyle. He said go out and do donuts himself. The 2 other gravediggers that were out there were 16 and 14. Now, who were behind the wheels, I'm still not certain about. It could have been Pablo Huffaker and Chad Tingler. Chad Tingler is likely in 14 because, well, you can see that it's gravedigger 14 with the Gringos, and none of the others ran the Gringos, at least not in 2007. And the gravedigger 16 by the Shocks. Although I also am not certain if Pablo was behind the wheel or was this Randy Brown, but I have no idea who it was, who could have been in 16, at least which one of the 2, since Charlie had not gone yet and Pablo was probably about to go. Ultimately, only these 2 photos exist. Monster Jam the movie. Yes, you heard that right. There is a freaking Monster Jam movie that was planned to be released around 2004 on ESPN. Now, ultimately, the plot, again, there's a bit more of this movie, and there's a bit of a story, but basically just to give a little subscript, or basically just give a little revisal of the whole thing. Basically, a family goes out and builds a monster truck, in the case, Monster Mun, and they decide to run it through the competition. The son ends up driving the truck via remote control. The daughter likes being inside the cab and runs it. The truck ends up winning multiple major competitions and becomes very popular immediately. And it gets into the Monster Jam World Finals. There, during one of the races, the son loses control and is not able to control the truck, and the daughter has to take over. They go on to win the race. Ultimately, it's likely the movie didn't make it that far. It was filmed, but there probably isn't much of it that was filmed. The only evidence that there was even plans and film behind this is the one photo with the guy, which is likely the son in the gravedigger suit, and the cover. But it is probably one now after the Monster Jam European airings. This is probably the most sought after lost media piece that's left. Lost Mexican airings. Yes, you heard that right. Remember when I mentioned this is the lost media search doesn't end? It's never gonna end, folks. It always stays the same. In this instance, again, thanks to Taz91, we have another form of lost media. In around 2010, I believe, Monster Jam ended up releasing multiple episodes of Monster Jam in Mexico. This could turn from highlights from other shows all the way around to potential shows of specials on trucks like Maximum Destruction, as there's a section dedicated to Maximum Destruction, to an actual airing of a full show, the Mexico show in Mexico City near the Mexico racetrack. That was full broadcast. However, there are certain shows that weren't even shown in Europe, including Anaheim 2010 Show 2, being the most notable, and many arena shows that weren't shown in any capacity other than Crash Madnesses, and even weren't even shown in the Crash Madnesses. So ultimately, though, there's no real actual good quality of it, and it's unknown if anybody else could have it. However, I did make a couple compilations of footage that can be recovered, at least somewhat. Hopefully one day someone will come forward with the Mexican airings. The 2000 season. This is a more weird one because the 2000 season, while the 2000 season did get aired on TNN, almost no other footage of the 2000 season exists other than these shows. Tampa 2000, San Antonio Show 2000 Show 2, I believe Anaheim 2000 Show 1, which was shown in a freaking movie, and Miami 2000. Other than that, there were no other shows, I believe, that were shown in any capacity. And there weren't that many in 2001, but there was a few more. This is likely potentially due to the Milestone Motorsports deal as well, and the conspiracy theory, but full reason isn't known. Again, many of the shows, some of the shows have photos, other shows may not even have photos altogether. And The likelihood of having any footage is all, since people couldn't bring their cameras into shows during this time. It's likely a negative that we would ever really see any footage appear, sadly. Monster Jam Now. Monster Jam Now is probably the most, mysterious lost media there is. As it was essentially a Monster Jam website bite-sized. It was kind of for like a watch or like a miniature phone or something like that. You're not really missing much, and it was only there for a limited time. Or rather, I won't think limited time, but short term. Houston 2010. This is one of the more interesting kind of lost medias. It's something that I'm probably going to address in a future video, but just take a listen to this.
Pablo Hoffaker looking to double down in the Gravedigger.
Notice anything screwed up about the audio? Yeah. While it is audio from San Diego 2010, at least the truck is, the commentary is not. As you hear Mark Schrader say, Pablo Hoffaker looking to double down in the Gravedigger. Spoiler alert, Pablo did not double down in San Diego 2010. He didn't win the racing. In fact, the only two shows that Pablo Hoffaker actually doubled down in was San Antonio 2010 Show 2 and Houston 2010 Show 1. Now, where could that audio have even come from is the question. Well, it had to have been Houston Show 1. There's no way they would have done the second San Antonio show, at least logically you'd think that. So ultimately, most people think that, well, this is only a bit of a section. The reason why this even is brought up is because in the Monster Jam Freestyle 2010 DVD, it was just thrown in there. Again, you just don't exactly know how this ended up coming to place. This is the only case though where there could be a potential broadcast that's all out just missing, and that's likely gonna be gone forever. There's a chance that the broadcast was filmed and there is commentary to this, but it will likely never ever appear because the fact that it never was officially on speed. However, this is the only case though where there's evidence that the show was broadcast, and it could have been canceled last minute. Maybe someone who used to work at speed during this time could give us a better explanation, but this is probably the most mysterious case of lost media there is. Every Monster Jam show is recorded. Yes, I'm going to keep saying this, but it's true. Every Monster Jam show is recorded. They record you. They record your movement. They record your... Okay, they don't do... I hope they felt when to do that thinking this is felt, so they could probably do that. But every Monster Jam show is recorded. As we've shown with the European airings, Mexican airings, Crash Madness DVDs, all that around. Every show is recorded because they push stuff like this out. Because how come they wouldn't have stuff that they would have full broadcasts and full shows of stuff like this? How come without recording stuff like this? What happens is for speed, and even as far back as TNN days, Monster Jam and TNN or Speed or whatever would come up with their TV plan. They'd shoot, and Speed or TNN would choose which shows would get aired, and they'd kind of try and do it like a real life broadcast type of style, like it'd be a live event, even though it wasn't. As they try and get personnel, reporters, and all that stuff around, and make it look live. And that was all the way through the case. There are fell cameras there at every show, even arena shows, and sometimes arena footage is shown in other medias. However, not all shows are shown, and there are many shows that are completely lost, or which there's hundreds of thousands of shows that are lost straight up. My dream has always been to get every unaired show that was not shown on television here on YouTube or really anywhere on the internet. Likelihood of it happening is highly unlikely though, and because Feld is Feld, they probably, and Moshim is Moshim, they will likely not release this unless they do what the NASCAR Classics have been doing lately and make a kind of website thing to release footage that was not airing in case, and if so, I would be all for it. But it's highly unlikely. Anyways, that's going to do it for this Monster Jam Lost Media Iceberg. Hope you guys enjoyed. This ended up actually being 43 entries instead of 41. That's just correction note on my part. But yeah, this was a long video. My voice is dying by the second. And I think that'll do it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And I'll see you all next time.